Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of my F1 23 MyTeam career mode. This is part 34 of the series here in Japan for episode 2 of season 3. If you did miss the last episode, it was a Sergio Perez win in Australia with a last lap overtake to claim victory. It was a points finish for ourselves after being on pole position. It was a terrible race for our championship rival and last year's champion George Russell. Now, if we take a look here at the performance charts, you'll notice there Aston Martin are still the fastest car on the grid as it stands ahead of the Red Bull and the McLaren. Ourselves, you can notice that we have not lost as near as much performance as everyone else. Our line's a bit more staying steady there, so definitely looking like we've been able to maintain our regulations going through into this new season of Formula 1. And now, as we get ourselves prepped for practice here, Suzuka is one of those circuits where I'm kind of hit and miss on it. Sometimes I'm an absolutely fantastic around here, and then other days I'm just not on it. So definitely hoping this will be one of the days that I'm on to try and get ourselves some more consistent points here. Consistency is going to be the key here. And we crossed the line there to finish our first practice program. They're taking the first lap there to kind of get up to speed there, and then the rest of them were pretty much on the money. As now doing the fuel saving mode, we're only going to very narrowly miss out here. On the first lap, I had the lap time and I very nearly had it in the purple, and then just wasn't able to really match it going further. And now coming into the final one here, I've had a couple of green boxes there that are just slightly missing their apex or being a little bit too wide or too narrow on corner exit or entry, and then coming across the line we're going to get the purple, and that's good enough for me to now move on and feel comfortable enough to head ourselves into qualifying. We'll take here the top three: Max Verstappen, Oscar Piastri and George Russell, all running the soft tyres. So that means, since I only did a medium and a hard tyre run, we're going to have to look further down. So Alex Albon, P16 there on the soft tyre, so that's not looking very promising for him, and P21 for ourselves there on the medium tyre. So I'm not too phased, because hopefully I can bump myself a little bit further up the field here when I get onto those soft tyres for the first time this weekend in qualifying. So definitely going to be a interesting qualifying as we get ourselves prepared here and try and go out and get ourselves maybe a pole position. We got the job done in Australia the last time out, so with the hope, with a little bit of a tow here from Esteban Ocon, we might actually be able to get ourselves a pretty good time here. We're currently sitting P12, and we crossed the line to start our next flying lap, and it is currently P3, but we're behind the likes of Logan Sargent, and that Aston Martin has actually, even though it's considered the fastest car on the grid, has not been really proving to be a highly consistent car at the moment. And we complete another lap here, and that's going to put us, well, at the moment, not even inside the top 14. So Lando Norris, George Russell and Charles Leclerc are your top three here in qualifying one, and ourselves P15. And we've only scraped through by about 300ths of a second into qualifying 2. Unfortunately for our teammate Alex Albon, he was on the opposite end of that. He was about 300ths outside of making it into Q2. So very unlucky for Alex, but for ourselves, extremely lucky indeed to get ourselves here into Q2. And now as we come to cross the line to finish our first flying lap here in qualifying 2, it's going to be P4. And we're about half a tenth off Oscar Piastri, who was in P2 at the time. And now coming to the end of yet another lap. It's not going to be up by much. It's only about a tenth that we're up by, but it is enough to improve our lap time. And that, unfortunately, is actually going to mean us being knocked out here in qualifying 2, sitting there P12. And we were nowhere close to making it into qualifying 3. There you can see nearly half a second off the pace. Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris and Max Verstappen, your top 3 in qualifying 2.
The beloved Suzuka had a couple of unplanned years away from the calendar, but it's now back where it belongs, at the heart of the Formula 1 season. Welcome along to the Japanese Grand Prix. A lap of this historic racetrack covers 3.6 miles. It's the only time during the season that we race on a figure-of-8 circuit, and the drivers can expect some intense G-forces through the 18 corners on offer here as they experience some of the highest average apex speeds on the Formula 1 calendar. Keep an eye out for overtakes into the final chicane. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, edging out Lando Norris, who'll start from P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Sainz, Oscar Piastri, Russell, Perez, Verstappen, Ocon, Sargent, Hulkenberg, Bottas, the Rainmaster, Magnussen, Liam Lawson, Sonoda, Gasly, Albon, Joe, Stroll, Iwasa, Drugovich, and Nick de Vries. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box. Ant, it's fantastic to have you with us here, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the rundown into turn 1, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It will keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
And here we are, a little bit further back than I was definitely hoping to be. So definitely wanting to try and push ourselves a little bit further up the grid. And to do so, we are going to go with the default strategy here, going on the soft tyres to the mediums. So definitely it's going to feel a little bit strange not going onto the hard tyre, because as you may know from previous seasons, the hard tyre on this MyTeam car seems to just gel really nicely. So definitely taking a risk and not running the old trusty hard tyre for this Grand Prix, but definitely need to try and make some inroads early on in the race before the field kind of spreads out naturally here at Suzuka with all of these fast flowing corners. So definitely getting ourselves set in the grid as now the lights are going out, and it's 4 lights, 5 lights, and we are away here for the Japanese Grand Prix. We get a pretty good start compared to the 2 Aston Martins ahead of us. Max Verstappen's had an absolute shocker of a start. He's falling back massively, and now we're kind of boxed in here, not knowing what to do. We make a little bit of contact there to the rear end of Nico Hülkenberg, so hopefully that doesn't cause any damage. And because I was too busy trying to work out if the car does have damage, I've run a little bit wide there, going into into the first of the sweepers here, and I've actually now lost a position here to Max Verstappen. So definitely already now, even though we're up 2 places, feeling like I am falling down the field early on during this Grand Prix to the medium tyre runners. And now, fast forwarding a lap here, this is halfway through lap 2, through the hairpin. I've actually had a really good exit speed, using these the grip of these soft tyres. And so we're going to get a bit of a run here. We're going to go to his inside along this little back straight before we head to Spoon. And we're going to go around the outside. We're going to use all the track and a little bit more, as he doesn't really leave us too much room there. We almost would have wheel contact there and still had to go off the circuit. So we're going to complete the move, a little bit dodgy, but we get the move done, and it was not brought up by the FIA. So game on us now. We do a bit of an order check here at the end of lap 3. So Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris, and Carlos Sainz, your top 3 here in Japan, followed by Oscar Piastri, George Russell, Sergio Perez, Esteban Ocon, Nico Hülkenberg in the Aston Martin P8, ourselves P9, making up a couple of positions. Max Verstappen rounds out the points as it stands, and it's Logan Sargent, Liam Lawson, Valtteri Bottas ahead of the other Alpine of Pierre Gasly, Kevin Magnussen, Yuki Tsunoda, Zhou Guanyu, our teammate Alex Albon in P18. So definitely a bit further down than he really should be. The 2 Williams of Wasser and Drugovich, Stroll, and then Nick de Vries rounds out the field at the moment on lap 4. And now it's back to our POV here. And we've finally caught up to the back of Nico Hülkenberg. We swing to his outside, and we're going to, through this final chicane here, we're going to get the overtake done on the German driver, and a little bit of a tank slapper actually on the exit, going onto the final corner down the main straight, which is definitely held up Nico Hülkenberg. And now looking back behind us, Max Verstappen's going to try and take advantage of this as well. Maybe I've slowed up Nico Hülkenberg just enough for Verstappen to take advantage of this. And Carlos Sainz ahead of us has locked up and lost 2 positions. So a very costly mistake. Remember, he was P3 when we did our order check, so he's definitely dropped back at least 2 positions by locking up there. And we are now very quickly starting to use up these soft tyres, and in doing so, we have caught up to the back of Esteban Ocon, and we are pulling alongside the French driver in the Mercedes. We're going to go around the outside at 130R, use a bit of curb there, and we're going to bottom out a little bit, but we're going to keep it on the inside going into the chicane, and we're going to get the move done here on Esteban Ocon, and that puts us now up into P7. And now ahead of us, you can see there, Sergio Perez looks very racy up against the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz. And that looks like Sainz is going to be overtaken by Sergio Perez. And so maybe that Ferrari is a little bit wounded, as he was only P3 a few laps ago. So definitely falling back through the field. And in a matter of only a few corners, we have now caught up to the back of Carlos Sainz. We've been getting massive runs going down that back straight, going into 130R. We swing it to the inside, get the overtake done into this chicane, and that's us into P6 as we now go down the main straight, and we're going to be trying to chase after Sergio Perez now. And now, on the lap 11, it's been the first 10 laps are completed, and we're going to do another quick order check here. So it's Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris, and Oscar Piastri are your top 3 here in Japan. George Russell, Sergio Perez, and myself now in P6, so we've been making our way slowly through the field. Carlos Sainz, 7th, very far down from the P3 he was last time we checked. Yeah, then it's Esteban Ocon, Max Verstappen, and Nico Hülkenberg rounds out the points in P10 there, and ahead of the other Aston Martin of Logan Sargent, and then it's Liam Lawson, the 2 Alpines of Bottas and Gasly, Kevin Magnussen, Yuki Tsunoda, Zhou Guanyu, our teammate Alex Albon still down in P18, the 2 Williams of Wasan Drogovic, Stroll P21, and Nick De Vries is still currently sitting P22 in his AlphaTauri. Now, back on board with ourselves, it's still lap 11, and once again, we've got this massive run going into 130R. Can we take this and try and get another move going into the chicane? We swing it to the outside, swing it to the inside, and now we're going down the inside of Sergio Perez, and that's us into the top 5 now. And our next target is going to be George Russell, but we're actually going to pull it into the pits because during that lap, we had our tyre wear indicator come up, and I am not risking at all some sort of failure here. So we're going to bring it into the pits. And you'll notice that behind us, quite a few of the other soft tyre runners are also coming in, so maybe the tyre wear a little bit higher than expected, which now makes this next stint going to be a little bit more difficult because we're going to be going onto the medium compound tyre for these last 15-ish laps. So going to have to really try and look after these tyres, but at the same time, I really want to push really hard on these first couple of opening laps to try and see if we can't get ourselves any sort of overcut possibly. So now, fast forwarding to the next lap, and this is how many positions we're going to make up after just one lap on these medium tyres. We're now going to jump up to P11. Granted, all of these people that we just overtook were behind us before we came into the pits, and now the leaders are in. It's lap 13 going on to lap 14. Charles Leclerc, race leader, is in for his stop. Can Ferrari get the clean pit stop done? It looks like it's going to be a pretty average pit stop. No issues, as I could see. And now, back to our POV. Max Verstappen's in the pit, so another driver that we were kind of battling around. We set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. And where is Charles Leclerc? We've had an absolute massive run. There is Lando Norris. Lando Norris was in the top 3. There's Charles Leclerc. We're going to swing it to the inside at turn 2. And that is us now into effective. I reckon that's going to be an effective P2. So we've actually pulled a master blind of a strategy here. And now, fast forwarding onto the end of that lap, we've now caught up to the back of Charles Leclerc. We've been very patient, set a purple middle sector with the help, and we're going to send it down the inside. We lock the rears, and we just get it slowed down, keep it within the track confines, and that is now us up into P6 on the road. But I reckon we're going to almost be near the lead of the race here. We're going to have to work out where Oscar Piastri is. There is Piastri, and we're going to easily get past him going into turn 1 here. So now we are leading the Grand Prix from P5. We came into the pits in P5, so we've had an absolute wicked pit stop period here. And here's the onboard of Charles Leclerc. I come skidding into view, so good heads up driving from Charles to not hit us. But I am very surprised I actually got that move pulled off. It was a little bit audacious now looking back at it, but it was definitely a move that had to be done. But we haven't been able to pull away too much from the DRS. That is going to be Oscar Piastri trying to go around our inside, but he doesn't want to stick it around the outside. So we, for the moment, are still in at P1, but it looks like Piastri has got a bit of better pace on us at the moment. As now we jump on board to Logan Sargent, and he's battling his teammate Nico Hülkenberg for this final points-paying position in this Grand Prix. He's going to go around the outside here at the chicane, and he is going to get the move done. But did he overtake too soon before the DRS detection point, which is something that AI don't really do. They just overtake. And it looks like that is exactly what's happened, because now Nico Hülkenberg, using the power DRS, will get back at him going down the main street, and that's Hülkenberg back into P10. So the Astons battling it out for this final points-paying position. So it may be a battle that we have to keep an eye on. And now back to our on board here. That's marked there telling us that our tyres are on the way out. And if we take a look here at the minimap, look at how many drivers here are currently essentially in this train behind me, possibly going for a race win here. That is from myself down to Max Verstappen, who's currently P9 in this Grand Prix. So absolutely a massive train of cars trying to go for this win here. As now coming down the main straight, we are definitely under attack from Oscar Piastri. He's going to try and go around our outside once again. But again, I am going much deeper into this corner here, so able to maintain position for the moment. And now looking a little bit further back down the field, this is going to be Esteban Ocon. He's looking to make a move around the outside of 130R on Carlos Sainz. So Sainz has never really been able to recover after he made that mistake pretty early on into the race. Ocon's going to try and go down the inside at the chicane, but he can't get the job done here. So maybe, is he going to be able to get the move done like Nico Hulkenberg down the main straight? You know, it looks like Carlos Sainz has got DRS, but that straight line speed of that Mercedes is absolutely mega with DRS, and even Carlos with the DRS can't keep the Mercedes of Esteban Ocon behind him, and that's Ocon now up into P7. That's now, we're heading back to our POV. We're going through Spoon here. We've only got a few laps to go. We can't make any rash moves here. I get onto the throttle and we make a little bit of a mistake and we're into the gravel. So Mark's now telling us that we have to use more energy here to try and keep Piastri behind us. But I've just let Piastri through, making that absolute critical error here. And now Leclerc's going to be trying to get out the inside of 130R. We don't let him get it, so now we're going to dive it back down the inside of Oscar Piastri. I just want to get back by him as soon as possible to make sure that we can... I would much rather defend P1 than try and overtake for P1. I reckon that's definitely the way to go here, especially with how hard it is to overtake around Suzuka Circuit. So we managed to maintain P1 for the moment, even after making that massive mistake. And Oscar Piastri has now made himself vulnerable after going for trying to defend me. So now he's lost out to Charles Leclerc, and now he could even lose out to his teammate Lando Norris, who's looking to get himself up onto the podium. And now down this back straight, he's going to go down the inside at 130R, the side-by-side, through one of the fastest corners on the calendar, and Lando Norris will take P3 from his teammate in the dying stages of this Grand Prix. Now back to our onboard here. We're coming around the final corner. We're going to be starting the final lap of the Grand Prix, and you can see that we've kind of checked out a little bit here. I did not want to take any risks, so I've been pushing like a madman, using up all of that energy to get it myself about 1 second out. And then on the final lap here, I've got the tyre wear damage. We're going to cross the line, though, to still take the win. We lost about half a second, though, in that final lap, but I'll take a win, even though we were struggling on pace. So that is another win, and hopefully the championship charge for us is on now.
That's it then for another fantastic Grand Prix here in Japan. A brilliant victory that has thoroughly earned the applause of the sellout crowd here today. Well, Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today, but what set them apart from the rest?
I think the key here was just the quality of the racecraft, you know? I mean, how many overtakes did they make overall? I'm sure we have a stat person keeping score somewhere, and it was fantastic to watch, wasn't it? This is a strategic sport at the end of the day, but it's always really gratifying to see close-fought battles on track. It's what all the fans are after.
A show-stopping performance from the three drivers approaching the podium right now. It's been an interesting Grand Prix, that's for sure.
And that is the Japanese Grand Prix done for Season 3 of this F1 23 MyTeam career mode. It was a 5th win for ourselves here in Japan, and it was an absolute charge through the field, but it was the strategy at the end of the day, thanks to the boys and girls down in the garage, that got us that race win. That was really good work for them in the pits. As now we take a look here at the rest of the race results. So the remaining top 10 is Oscar Piastri, George Russell, Sergio Perez, Esteban Ocon, Carlos Sainz, Max Verstappen, and Nico Hulkenberg holds off his teammate to claim that final points paying position here at the Japanese Grand Prix. Unfortunately for our teammate, we will have to be scrolling down a little bit to find himself maintaining position in P17, so I can't be too disappointed that he didn't lose any positions, but definitely need him to be inside the top 10. As now we take a look at the Drivers' Championship, it's Sergio Perez leading the way to ourselves by only 3 points. Leclerc and Lando Norris are tied in third, only 4 points off the lead. McLaren, they're leading the Constructors' Championship by 4 points, only to Red Bull. And then Brabham, we find ourselves 19 points off the lead, and we're currently sitting P4. And that is actually going to be all for this episode. No major upgrades or any sort of R&D being done at the end of this episode, really trying to bank up some points to try and get some of the bigger upgrades done early this season. So if you did like this episode, please make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode.